with Wing Commander Devidutta Panda, who is from Orissa and mountaineer, and is today Vice President of the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute. So this is his life and his views about training. So Commander Panda, how did you start and where were you born?
I was born in a small village in Odisha, and I grew up at different places in Odisha. In some of the places were especially the western part of Odisha, where there are a lot of aborigines, jungles and mountains, hills basically, the Eastern Ghat hills. So I grew up in those kind of environment where we could have a very good presence of wildlife also, like bears and all. I could see pug marks of bear and the scratch mark of bear on the back door of my house, that kind of places. So they had an impact on my mind.
But you were introduced by somebody in particular, or just because you were in jungles we started going somewhere?
No, in the sense when I was growing up, as I said, I started loving these things, and then I studied in a normal state board school, and while doing one translation it says that when we grow up we'll become soldier. I'll become soldier. That somehow it just clicked. I just loved that sentence. So I thought actually I'll become a soldier when I grow up. So NDA happened, in the sense I tried for NDA.
Anybody in your family or somebody was army connection or air force?
No, in my entire family nobody is from the armed forces. One of my uncles, he had also tried for NDA when he was young. He could not get through. So he is the one who told me about NDA and all that thing. So I got interested in NDA, into that aspect, and I tried for NDA and got through. And after joining NDA, I got introduced into different kind of things, like we used to have camps. So during the camps, we used to climb small hillocks and used to do map reading, navigation and all that thing through jungles and that kind of stuff. So I got more interested into adventure sports while in NDA.
So which year it was then you joined NDA?
I joined NDA in 96 and passed out in 98 December.
That it was a 2-year course?
3-year course. I joined 96 January. And passed out in 98 December, so complete 3 years.
So how was your life in NDA? Was there anything adventure, mountaineering, anything coming in there?
Mountaineering, proper mountaineering was not there, but as I said, we used to have camps. Every year we used to have one camp, that is every alternate term we used to have one camp. Greenhorn, Rovers and Torna, 3 camps were there. And during the camp we had night navigation, map reading. During the map reading we had to go from one hillock to another hillock, not very high mountains but small hills in the Western Ghats surrounding Khadakwasla area. So we used to climb around in that area in India. I got interested in mountaineering after getting commissioned, after passing out of NDA, after I passed through Air Force Academy and got commissioned. Then I got attracted towards mountaineering.
But this selection of Air Force was meant you selected yourself, or NDA sends you to Air Force?
No, while joining NDA itself, you have to give choice. Army, Navy, Air Force and Naval Academy. 3 options are there, 4 options are there. So depending on your merit in the entrance exam of NDA, they allot a particular service to every cadet of NDA. So throughout the training, it is same for every person, Army, Navy, Air Force. The training is exactly same for first 2.5 years. The last 6 months, the difference in training is there. The specialist training for Army, Navy and Air Force is imparted. And after passing out from NDA, then as per the service, people go to different training academy, like Indian Military Academy, Naval Academy or Air Force Academy.
Air Force Academy, where it is located?
It is at Dundigal, Hyderabad.
So how many years you were there?
1 year. 1 year of flying training and you get commissioned.
You are commissioned after your Dundigal Academy when you pass?
Pardon me?
You are commissioned into Air Force after you pass your Dundigal
Correct.
Okay. And by that time are you flying somewhere or not?
Yes, you are, as a cadet you fly the training, the trainers like HPT 32. We used to have HPT 32, now that is no more there. Then Kirans, Iskra, now these Hawks and all these aircraft are there. So by the time somebody is commissioned, he has flown all these aircraft.
Okay, so in all this thing now, how did adventure fit in?
Flying itself is a very adventurous thing to do. Then on top of that, when I was, my first posting was to Air Force Station Yelahanka. So we used to do a lot of cycling there at Yelahanka. I had a cycling partner. So with him we used to cycle together. So one of these days after cycling I was watching his albums. So I saw the photograph of some mountains, snow-clad mountains, and it was very attractive. Those photographs were very attractive. Then I asked him, what are these things? Then he explained me about basic mountaineering course that he had done some course that a few years back. He had done that course from NDA. So he told me about that. Then I got interested into mountaineering and I applied for basic mountaineering course.
Where?
I did it at Nehru Institute of Mountaineering in 2002. So after having done that course, I just got hooked onto it. It was like it's just like I just loved that kind of that particular sport.
Yeah, what did he make you? I mean, attracted to mountains so much once you at basic course?
The calmness of the mountains, and the realization is that human life is very small in front of the forces of nature. And the view that you get to see once you are in the innards of the mountains, that it is just not possible to get to see that kind of view if you don't get into the mountains. And I just love this. Maybe it is a combination of everything. Maybe the cold, maybe the sound that the crampons make when you walk on snow, everything, the aspects of climbing, when you climb a wall, the kind of satisfaction that you get. So I just loved everything about mountaineering. So 2002 I did my basic course. After that I just continued climbing mountains.
Continue means what? You were an Air Force officer.
Yes.
So did Air Force give you opportunity to
Yes.
climb?
Yes.
How was that?
Air Force has got a adventure wing. Air Force adventure wing is there. They conduct different kind of adventure sports. Not only mountaineering, air sports, water sports, land sports. So mountaineering comes in land sports. So they they organize expeditions every year. So I started climbing with them.
What was your first expedition as such?
I started with Hanuman Tibba in Himachal Pradesh. So next was Kamet.
How was Hanuman Tibba climb? Can you tell us some details about it?
Yes, Hanuman Tibba climb. In fact, those days we didn't have a very good budget with us to climb also. So we did that climb in absolutely alpine style, in which we carried all our load. We didn't have proper food also. So we are just drinking that Milo, and we're just climbing.
But you had enough experience, porter, Sherpas with you?
No, nothing. We are just on our own.
Who was the sort of leader or experienced person?
That time, Wing Commander Amit Chaudhary, he was the expedition leader. Now he's retired and he is in IMF. Vice President, yes. So he was the expedition leader. Under him, I did my first expedition, Hanuman Tibba. So for 4 or 5 days that we took to climb, we were completely incommunicado. We just after we had crossed that Tintu Pass, then there was no communication between us and base camp. For 4 days we were completely on our own, and that was a very good expedition in the sense that it gave me a lot of confidence that even without any help of any expert porter or any guide or any Sherpa or anything, we can still go and climb mountains.
The route you followed was from Tintu Pass,
yes,
going up to the ridge.
Correct.
From the ridge, how is the climb to the summit?
It's a very long. It's not the climb is not very difficult, but it is very long.
From the ridge to the summit?
Yes, very long. We took almost close to 12 hours almost to summit the peak.
Yeah, but there is a little shoulder and summit. From there the ridge starts. So that ridge is how many? About 2 hours, 3 hours?
The ridge is about close to. There are, I think, if I remember correctly, it's now long back. 2003, I climbed that peak. 16 years back now. So there are, I think, 2 saddles in between. Saddle kind of thing, which gives a false impression of summit when you're below that saddle. So there are 2 saddles. Otherwise, it is not very steep. Those shoulders are not very steep, and they can be negotiated easily. There is hardly any technical climbing involved.
And then how was the summit?
Summit
very narrow, small.
It is not. It is narrow. It is narrow. About 10 to 12 people can stand on the summit. Yes.
And the view around was what?
When we reached, it was complete whiteout. In whiteout condition, so we could not see anything. We could not actually see anything from the summit. So that's it. And I had my first fall also. It was my first climb, and it was my first fall also in the mountain. I had a narrow miss with almost, you can say, with death.
So what happened?
I had after summiting, I was so tired. I just sat down just below the summit, just about 10 meters below the summit. I just put my ice axe on the snow, and I immediately, without even realizing, I went off to sleep. And next thing I realized that I was sliding down. I did the self-arrest maneuver, and when I stopped, I just looked back and I could see one crevasse which is hardly some 4 meters from me. And I could see the poncho which I had just folded and I had put it on the side of my rucksack. It had got dislodged from the rucksack and it just went inside that crevasse. So it was very narrow, and as they say, within few seconds the flashback of my entire life almost I could see. So it was a very exciting, or whatever you say.
It's a very different experience.
Very different experience for me. To start with, that was my first expedition, and I had a very different kind of experience.
But did they scare you or?
No, in fact, I loved that so much that I was itching to go to the mountains. Yes, no, not fall, but I became more careful after that. But it kind of ignited that interest in me to keep climbing further.
How many companions you had for this trip?
This trip we had about six. We had about 6-7 people, and we had divided ourselves into 3 groups. One group was climbing Hanuman Tibba, another Shitidhar, another team was climbing Friendship Peak. So 3 teams were climbing.
The other 2 pretty easy walkovers. But your Hanuman Tibba was the challenging one.
It was a little challenging. For the first time climbing, it was challenging. At the same time, it was very interesting also.
So this was through academy, and you did your first trip. And which year was this? 19?
No. This expedition yes. I did from Air Force. This was in 2003.
2003.
2003.
Okay. So then, what was your next mountain experience?
Next was 2004 was Mount Kamet.
It's a straight, it's quite a high peak.
Quite a high peak.
They straight was selected to take to Kamet.
So again, it was Air Force expedition. It was kind of pre-Everest expedition, Kamet. 2004 Kamet expedition happened.
Who was the leader of that trip?
This again was Wing Commander Amit Chaudhary. He was the leader.
Okay, and how many people?
We had about 20 people in this expedition. But the climbing team consisted of about 10 people. Rest were kind of supporting in load ferry and all that thing.
Okay. So then what happened on that, the route and everything?
This expedition was a classic style expedition wherein we had porters, high altitude porters, we had Sherpas, we had everything. And in fact we had oxygen system also. We are trying out a new oxygen system. It was called Summit Oxygen.
What is Summit Oxygen?
This was a new oxygen system which was available, which was a British system. So we had got one entire system to try out, because we are planning Everest expedition in 2005. So before that we are trying out this new oxygen system. So only Wing Commander Chaudhary, he was only using it, and just to see how this system works, we used that thing.
Wing Commander Chaudhary was also a climber. He came with you to high
Yes. He came all the way till Meets Call. Meets Call is the summit camp, which is between Kamet and Abigamin. So
one minute, I'll open the door, and then we'll immediately continue at the same point. So then, Kamet, which route you were following?
We are following the standard route.
Normal
standard route.
Yes. None of the special routes.
No.
And how many Sherpas, porters?
We had about 5 Sherpas with us, and the same number of about 10 high altitude porters.
Okay. And your members, cadets?
We had 20 members in the team. 20 members.
So everybody was coming up higher up.
10 of us, we were climbing to the higher camp. The rest of them, they are going up to camp 2 to do the load ferry. And
what happened? You reached Meets Call?
I had reached to Meets Call, and we had that expedition. It was a very interesting expedition in the sense that we had a lot of incidents in that expedition. We had the case of frostbite, we had snow blindness. Wing Commander Kutti, he was a part of that expedition, and he had frostbite and snow blindness both in that particular expedition. Before we went for the summit attempt, another team was made who were making that summit attempt. In that, about 5 people were there. Out of those 5 people, one particular climber, his name was squad leader Rawat. He had a very bad case of hypoxia and hypothermia combined.
How come he was exposed? Cold.
So while climbing, it was very cold. Makama was extremely cold.
Which month is this was?
We climbed in, I think, May.
Okay, May maybe it was cold.
Very cold, very cold. And the weather was also quite bad. There was some system, one western disturbancer system was there that time, and the weather had gone very bad. And when these people are climbing, there was before that summit attempt, another thing had happened, that when they are climbing up, they got stuck at Camp 2. I don't remember the height of the Camp 2 now.
But that they stuck because of bad weather?
Bad weather. While climbing up, the weather went very bad, and they were there for almost 3 days. They were stuck at Camp 2. So thereafter, they were in a dilemma whether they should continue staying there or they should come back. Though they had sufficient ration, and the leader had told them not to continue staying there, not to come back, because the entire route was obliterated. All the marks that we had put, the fixed route, everything was covered with snow. So they still decided to come back, and while coming back, they got lost, and they could not reach the base camp, and they had to do benightement in the open. While doing benightement, the whole night we are also a search party. I was also part of the search party who went up some distance, and we are trying to search for them, and they are trying to search for us. But throughout the night, they just kept roaming around. I could not find the route.
At that time at
base camp, yes.
Okay.
So he kept blowing. Then again snowfall, continuous snowfall was there. So we kept blowing whistle, kept flashing the lights, but they could not locate us. Finally, they took rest behind some rocks, and luckily nothing happened, no frostbite, nothing happened, and they somehow survived the night. And next day, during the daytime, they could find the route, and they came back. This happened before the summit attempt. After that, the weather got cleared, and we could clear up all our things. We could retrieve most of our equipment and things. Then when the summit attempt happened.
Who was the summit attempt? Who are in there?
First summit attempt.
You were part of the summit attempt?
First team I was not there. I was in the second summit team.
Okay.
In the first team, that time one Chaitanya was there, Squadron Chaitanya, then RC Tripathi, then Kutti, then Rawat. All these people are there.
They were all Air Force cadets?
All Air Force. It was entirely Air Force expedition. So they went in the first team. Rawat got severe hypothermia and hypoxia. He became almost like mad. He became so euphoric that he started throwing away his snow glasses. He started that paradoxical dressing. He started taking away his clothes and started throwing it away. He started doing this kind of things. So finally the other people, they tied him with a rope, and Kutti gave his own gloves and sunglasses to him. In that bargain, he got frostbite in his hand, and he became snowblind. So they had to abandon the summit attempt and come back.
Come back to the did not climb to
no.
Yeah.
So then again, out of that party, only 2 people, one Chaitanya and Saini, they went for the summit attempt next day, and they summited. When they are doing the summit attempt, next day we are supposed to go up, but Wing Commander Chaudhary decided that he didn't want to expose any more mountaineer to their whatever he must have decided. So he asked us to climb towards Abigamin. So we had climbed Abigamin also halfway through when he called us back.
What was that for? The weather was not good?
He got a report that the weather is going to go bad, so he recalled us halfway through when we were climbing towards Abigamin. There was no fixed rope or anything. We were just climbing on our own. That was.
So you were all roped up at least.
We are roped up.
Yeah.
We are roped up, and we are climbing. So that is how while coming back also, Kutti got frostbite and snow blindness. Rawat became okay once he came down. Nothing happened to him. Tripathi got frostbite in his fingers. So we had a very classic rescue, high altitude rescue also. which came into Guinness World Record for being the highest rescue till that time. It was the highest rescue in the world.
Because of the height of comet.
Height of the place from where it was rescued, from where the rescue took place. The rescue took place from about 19,000 feet. That time, for helicopter, that was the highest altitude from where they rescued any mountaineer. So it became a very classic expedition where everything was involved. People were falling sick.
After all the expedition, you will be back to your academy and.
I used to come back to my flying unit and continue with my work there.
So by this time, are you flying which aircraft?
I was flying one aircraft called, till that time I was flying AN-32. It's a transport aircraft. Yes. I was flying that aircraft.
Okay, then how did your mountaineering life progress?
Then after Comet 2005, Air Force went to Mount Everest from the northeastern ridge. From that
Air Force had tried from the north.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2005, that first expedition, Air Force expedition from the north happened.
So that was in which year?
2005.
Okay.
2005 we went there, and again we went from the standard, the Chinese route from the northeastern side.
There's North Col and
North Col, correct. North Col route.
Okay.
So in that again we are divided into 3 summit teams. The first team, when they went for summit attempt, they were using this summit oxygen system that time, the same system which we had tried in Comet. They were using this system. This system had got a very beautiful regulator. It was operated by battery, and it used to give demand supply. Whenever you breathe in, that valve used to open, and when you breathe out, the valve used to close, so that oxygen is preserved. Like the POISC and the other system, they are continuous flow. The oxygen supply keeps coming, irrespective of whether you are breathing in and breathing out.
Breathing out, then you do it from mouth that time.
Even when you are breathing out, the oxygen keeps coming. It keeps getting leaked. There is no way to stop the oxygen. It just keeps coming. Whether you are breathing or not breathing, it doesn't matter. Till the time you physically switch it off, it's like normal gas. It just keeps coming out. So they are using this system, but at 8,300 meter or so, this system froze. That entire system froze, though they could not breathe. The oxygen just stopped. So they had to come back, abandon their attempt and come back from 8,000.
It was not tested out before?
They were not tested at such high altitude till this time. So
it was made for Everest, so they are not tested up to Everest height.
Correct. So they came back from there, and few of the people, they got severe frostbite in this attempt also. Later on, few of their digits had to be amputated. So they came back. The second summit team was consisting of 3 people. Tripathi, Chaitanya and Nikuram Chaudhary. 3 people are there. And I was myself and one more person, Suresh. Both of us, we were in the third summit team. So we are following the second summit team by 3 days. So these people, when they are occupying North Col, we are at advanced base camp. Next day we are supposed to occupy North Col, and these people are supposed to occupy camp 2 and further on to summit camp. So we are just following them by 2 days. So it so happened that when they went for summit attempt, we had just occupied camp 2 when the second summit team went for summit attempt. When they are coming back, there was a blizzard of about 100 to 120 kmph speed. And when we were walking from camp 1 to camp 2, 7,000 meter to 7,700 meter, that is the North Col to camp 2. These people, I got a message on walkie-talkie that first person, they had reached the summit.
Of
at
the
about second team. At about 5 o'clock in the morning, they had reached the summit. It was, I think, I don't remember exactly, probably it was 21st or 23rd May. I think 21st or 23rd May, I don't remember. Then second person also reached after about half an hour. But the third person, Coordinator Chaitanya, there was no news about him. So these people, while coming back, they met Coordinator Chaitanya, who was climbing up. And he was
all climbing separately, there was no common
they were climbing together to start up with. They left the summit camp together, but it is all fixed rope. Till the summit, it is fixed rope. So they got separated. And he got behind by about 5 hours.
5 hours?
5 hours. So probably the leader of that team should have got this guy back with him, but he didn't do anything and he continued climbing. And by the time he reached summit, he reached at about 11 o'clock. The first person had reached at 5:30. So there was such a huge gap of almost 5 hours, 30 minutes. So when he reached the summit, he took photographs and videos and all that thing, and he was coming back. Then this blizzard started, and he had become very tired. His oxygen was also depleted. So he gave his rucksack to his Sherpa, and he told him to proceed ahead. He said that he'll be coming later, and thereafter nobody has saw him. Nobody knows.
Each one had one Sherpa, or there was one Sherpa for the whole group?
There was one Sherpa with everyone, every member. So he gave gave his rucksack to his Sherpa, and he said ki you just proceed, because the weather had started deteriorating by that time. And this Sherpa, he reached the summit camp at about 9 o'clock, and he was in a very bad shape. He was delirious and he was almost fainted. Sherpa.
He also reached at night 9 o'clock?
Yes. They had left previous night 10 o'clock. They had left summit camp. So almost after 24 hours he reached summit.
So where were you in all this?
I was at camp 2. So what happened is that when all these things were happening and Chaitanya was not coming back, so the whole night they kept giving RT calls, call through their walkie-talkie, and the direct communication between advanced base camp and summit camp was not possible. So we were like relay station. Whatever they used to say we could hear, and whatever advanced base camp was saying we could hear, but they could not hear. So we are just relaying the messages to and fro. So when Chaitanya, there was no sign of Chaitanya through whole night, but it was such huge blizzard, the 120, 130 km, nobody could even get out of the tent. It was so windy. So next morning we launched a search party, and we are asked to stay back at camp 2 only, because all the oxygen and food, whatever was left, we had to use it for, which was preserved for our summit attempt, though they had to be used for his search. So the Sherpas again went back to search for him, but except one crampon, one side of his shoe, nothing else could be found. He was not found. So
but no sign that he has fallen down or something?
Nothing. Nobody could find any sign. So it was abandoned after one day. We could not, there was nothing left, no food and no oxygen, nothing. So it was abandoned and we all had to come back. So when this summit team reached back at camp 2, we are still there. So I had to give one Dexa injection to each of them, because they are also very, very weak and they could barely walk. And after that, all of us, we came down to
together.
Correct. So that is how the 2005.
Did this death or missing caused much confusion in Air Force or anything?
Yes. Later on, there was court of inquiry and all that thing. There was that person who died. His sister was in US. She was in NASA or something. So she took out a lot of high resolution imagery and all that thing, but nothing was seen. So
to say that you had an experience of death also at that time. Okay, then after 2005. Now, by this time also you were still flying aircraft.
Yes.
With the Air Force.
And by that time I had gone to Sukhoi 30, which is a fighter aircraft. So I had started flying Sukhoi 30. Then 2006, almost all the veterans of that climb, many of them, they quit climbing after Everest expedition. So 2006
Why,
again.
they were afraid, or they are very upset
Probably
about the death?
No, for most of them the aim was to climb Everest. So once that was done, the Everest expedition was done, so many of them, they did not show any interest in climbing smaller peaks or any other peak. So 2006, when there was an expedition for Mount Satopant, so I volunteered for it, and when I reached there I realized that I was this only officer who was there in the team, so by default I became the expedition leader. And
Everest, who was the leader?
Expedition ka again Wing Commander Chaudhary was the leader.
Everest. Yeah, okay.
After that expedition he retired from Air Force.
Okay. So then Satopant, you were the leader.
I was the leader.
Right. And how many cadets, people?
We were 7 people. And again it was an alpine style climb. There was no porter, no Sherpa, no nothing. But it was a very, very, very interesting climb in a way that it was a very fast ascent. From roadhead to roadhead we did it in 7 days flat.
7 days?
7 days.
Why? What was the hurry so much?
We just kept climbing and we are so fit. We felt we are so fit. So I thought let's just continue with the tempo. There's no need. If we are finding the weather was so nice and we are feeling so good and we are able to continue the climb. So we just climbed. Like we just took 2 days to reach base camp. And next day we did recce, come load ferry to camp 1. then we just continued climbing. We carried all the load, and we didn't do any more load ferry after camp 1. After camp 1 there was 2 more camps. We just continued climbing. We didn't do any recce or any load ferry or anything. We just continued climbing after that. And the weather was, as I said, was good, and we just could do that. And within 1 week we are back at roadhead.
What did you enjoy better, the relaxed going up or this rushing?
This climb was also not, I will not say rushing, because we didn't feel any need to continue at any place for longer time. We were all of us, because most of the people are very fit and very young. I was also young flight lieutenant that time.
Take minute. Anna. भाजी आने तो ऑर्डर केलेला आहे ना. रखो अंदर रखो. So, Satopant, you were going by the normal route, the joining ridge and
yes,
the top.
yes.
Okay. So why was rush? I mean, you just went on and on.
We just kept going, because we didn't do any load ferry. I just asked my people, we want to do load ferry or we want to continue climbing. They said we can. It's not, rather than doing load ferry, we'll just take all the load and go at one. So let's try it out. So when we tried it out, we could do it. It was, and we are not very. We didn't feel too much weighed down by load or anything. And the weather was playing very good. It was, we didn't have any problem with the weather. So there are 7 people in the group. Out of 7, 6 of us summited. Only one person who had suffered again frostbite in he had suffered frostbite in Comet expedition itself. Another person, he also had some of his finger amputated, Narendra Kumar. So he was the only person we left at base camp. Rest all of us we summited. 7,075 meter, I think. Satopant.
It's quite a high peak, and that's why I was a little surprised that you went very quickly.
Yes, and in fact I didn't have any experience of leading an expedition by that time, and I was literally scared that for the first time in my life I am leading an expedition. I didn't have much experience also. I had climbed Hanuman Tibba, Satopant, and my experience was Hanuman Tibba, Comet and Everest expedition. So when I was that time also, Wing Commander Chaudhary was there. He was the director of Adventure Cell. So he said, okay, now nobody is there, so we'll choose a smaller peak. I said, it is not about this height of the peak, it is about how you manage the team. So if you trust me with a smaller peak, why not with a bigger peak?
Correct.
So I just went ahead with that, and we could do that.
Okay, so that brings us to 2006, and by this time we were ready for another trip?
Yes. Then 2007 we went for Lhotse.
Lhotse? Okay. By which route of Lhotse?
Again the standard route, same south call.
Ice call, south call and to
same.
Okay.
We that Lhotse face and same route.
So that was also the trip by Air Force?
Air Force. So again all my expeditions except 1 or 2 I have done all the expeditions through Air Force.
Who was the leader?
This time Wing Commander Tripathi, that time he was Wing Commander. Wing Commander R.C. Tripathi. He was the leader. By this time Wing Commander Chaudhary, he had retired. So Wing Commander Tripathi was leading the expedition, and we had got very late in this expedition. In this particular expedition we got very late, so we could reach up to camp 2 only, and the weather went bad. We had to abandon the attempt and come back. So we climbed up to 7,700 meter on the Lhotse face. The same camp 2 is exactly the same as Everest expedition. Same route is exactly same, everything is same. So we climbed up to 7,700 and we got back from there, because the weather went bad and our ration and everything started getting over, and we realized that there is no more time, no more window will be available. We are already late in the season, so we had to abandon and come back.
Actually in Air Force, how are these peaks selected, or how are the members selected? Very officially or what?
For selecting the peak, it is decided by the Adventure Cell.
Air Force Adventure Cell.
Air Force Adventure Cell.
Are there experienced people who would decide, or who?
Not necessary. Anyone who is posted there. Not necessary that everyone who is posted is an experienced mountaineer or experienced climber. So they decide on their own.
How? But I mean, they must have some idea whether Satopant is okay or Lhotse is okay.
That they decided now, or if somebody sends a proposal that probably we should climb this peak, then they decide on the basis of that. So that time all these
is sent by members, like say people like you, who can send a proposal.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And they see the proposal and they find merit in that, then they plan that expedition. Still that time, all these people are there. Wing Commander Chaudhary, he was there, so he used to decide all these
He would know
peaks.
things.
He
Yes.
would know, correct. But after that, after he left, it was being selected more in a random way. So this is how it happened.
And the team is selected which by application?
By
or
application.
committee?
By an application. They float an advertisement kind of thing, which goes to all the FO stations. They ask for volunteers. So people volunteer with all their credentials. Then they set up a committee who decides which all people will be selected for this particular expedition, depending on their experience and their performance in the last expeditions.
Okay. So then next?
2007, after coming back, we did Island Peak, which was a small peak.
Yes. Yeah, you have been climbing mostly in Nepal nowadays. Yeah. Okay.
Till 2007. Then 2008 onwards, we did after Lhotse, we did then FO started getting into 7 summits. So 2008 I did Mount Kilimanjaro. Not 2008. 2008 again I went to Hanuman Tibba. There was another FO's expedition to Hanuman Tibba. I was the deputy leader of that expedition, but I had to, after reaching base camp, I had to come back because I had to go to Israel. FO's, I had to attend a course in Israel. FO's had bought some equipment from them, and I had to go get trained in that. So for that I had to go to Israel immediately. So I got back from the expedition and I proceeded to Israel. Then 2009 I didn't do any expedition. 2010 FO's had started doing this 7 summit thing.
Okay.
So in that series I did Kilimanjaro and Elbrus, and also Mount McKinley.
So you had the different people were climbing different peaks, not just
Yes.
one group.
There were 3 people. They were climbing all of them, all 7. Rest of this, they were selecting different people for different peaks. But those 3 people remained constant for all the expeditions.
They climbed all the 7 peaks.
Correct. They were group captain by that time. I think he had become still Wing Commander Tripathi, one Wing Commander Rawat, and one Nikuram Chaudhary. These 3 people were there because these 3 people are posted to Adventure Cell.
Yes.
So 3 of them, they went to all the peaks. The rest of them, they were giving opportunity to other people. So in that I climbed 3 peaks in 2010. 2011 again there was a expedition to Mount Everest. It was primarily ladies expedition, and some of the experienced climbers were also part of that expedition.
Ladies means Air Force ladies?
Air Force, all Air Force lady officers.
Wives or lady officers?
Lady officers.
So there were many ladies that time in the Air Force?
Yes, by that time many ladies were already there in Air Force. So this expedition was being led by Group Captain Dahiya, N.K. Dahiya.
Yes.
And I was the deputy leader of the expedition. So we climbed from the Nepalese side, from the southeast ridge, south call route. And this time I was leading, again the team was divided into 2 parts. The first summit team, it consisted of 6 members, and second team also consisted of 6 people.
Okay.
So in the first team was chosen out of the people who are very strong, all the ladies, all the girls were very strong in climbing. So it was being led by Group Captain Dahiya. So he took the team directly from base camp to camp 2. But when they went from camp 1 to camp 2 through the Western Kum, they got absolutely tired and dehydrated. Because Western Kum, because of the geographical location, it is completely blocked from all the sides.
Yes.
From the Nupse, from one side is, north side is Lhotse, then on the eastern side you have got the Nupse face. So, and the western side there is another ridge coming out of Everest. So, and it opens up into Khumbu ice fall. So once somebody is inside the Kum, there is no wind at all.
Yes.
Absolutely nil wind, and the solar reflection is from all sides. So it's extremely hot.
So why it was decided to go to Kum double march?
That he decided that he will go directly. He thought that they are all strong people, so they can do directly from base camp to camp 2. But in that everyone got extremely tired. So by the time they reached camp 2, they were so dehydrated that somebody had to bring water to when they are climbing from in that Western Kum, and they had to drink water. They had to call water from camp 2 itself. And by the time they reached, many of them were not in a condition to climb further. So only 3 of them, they went up to higher camps. they left rest of the members there with an instruction that जो पीछे वाला जो टीम आ रहा है तुम उनके साथ ऊपर चले आना. So, but I had the experience of Lhotse expedition and I had faced the similar situation in the same place that it gets extremely hot during the day. So I said I took my team to Camp 1 only. We stayed at Camp 1. Next day early morning I said before it gets hot we should cross Western Kum. So we very comfortably reached Camp 2 without any problem. We had still water left in our.
Better, to go very systematically.
So next day we continued to Camp 2. So once we reached Camp 2, we were still very fresh and energetic, and we still had water in our water bottle. Though they had sent one whole camp, the 2-liter thing, and I had to carry it from halfway through back to Camp 2 unnecessary. That became a dead weight for us. Anyway, after reaching Camp 2, then these people said that we have been instructed to go along with you.
Who?
Three of them.
First team.
Three of the people who are left behind by first team. They said we also will come along, tag along with you. But the resources that we had, the oxygen cylinder, food and all, the tentage space, the camping space and all that thing we had was sufficient only for 5 to 6 people. And here we had 6 people from my team plus 3 people left over by the first team. So 9 people. So it is just not possible to carry 9. But luckily 4 people, they volunteered not to go ahead.
Okay.
So finally
they were tired or?
They were tired, and the next day when we were climbing up, by the time we could reach the Jumaring point, that is on the Lhotse face, when the fixed rope starts on the Lhotse face, by the time that people reach that point, 2 of them they volunteered to stay back. They are already cold, the hand and feet, everything was getting cold, so they volunteered to stay back at Camp 2. I said very nice. They just went back and only 5 of us were left, and all 5 of us we continued.
Okay.
And I had the memory of this 2005 incident, so I thought if I am leading them, then I should be behind, not ahead. So if something happens, I will come to know, and if somebody has to turn back, I will also come back with them to ensure that they reach back safely. There are 2 lady officers and 3 of us. Finally 5 of us were climbing. So
Air Force was promoting ladies also.
Yes, it does.
Good.
Yes. So it does. We followed this the standard route to South Col, and thereafter we continued climbing next day. And the ladies were they're slightly slower, and rather than overtaking and continuing at my own pace, I choose to be behind them, and if something happens, to get them back. In that. Again got little slow, and but all of us submitted almost at the same time. As a team we just submitted and we got back. I had in that bargain I got frostbite in my toes. Yes.
Where?
In my toes. All my 10 toes. Yes.
You should charge people to say this. Colonel Kumar used to do that, he had amputed all these 6 toes. So on the basic course he'll go and say, all right, you want to see my toes, give me 1 rupee. He'll collect 1 rupee and show his toes to everyone, and this goes,
So
I
had got amputation in that expedition itself, because they were so slow, my body never got warmed up. Had I overtaken them and continued at my own pace, probably I would have got warmed up. And moreover, they were giving up, so I had to remove my oxygen mask time and again to shout at them at places, to coax them, to motivate them to continue. So probably it could have caused, because I was feeling cold throughout. I never got warmed up. So by the time I came back to summit camp and took out my shoes, all my 10 toes had become black. And thereafter, by the time I reached Camp 2, I had to walk on this frostbitten toes, so probably it aggravated it further.
Overall, this makes a difference in your balance?
Yes, it does. It does. Earlier, yes.
Now also, so you are
yes,
walking?
Yes.
It gets off balance?
Off balance in the sense, I don't feel it actively, but the pain is continuously, it is there.
Pain still there? Or?
Yes, it does pain. This small toes, this toe, it pains a lot, because now that the bone is cut, so it keeps pinching. On top of that, the big toe is not there. So especially while running and all, it affects a lot. Earlier I used to run almost 15 kilometers every day. Now I can barely run 5 to 6. I can't run more than that. It pains a lot after that. And yes, and while climbing, especially front pointing and all, it does affect.
But this has no problem with your professional career,
No,
flying aircraft
no,
or anything?
no. For
does not bother.
For 1 year, I was medically down after my amputation. This happened in 25th May 2011. Thereafter, after getting back to base camp, I was evacuated by helicopter from base camp to Kathmandu. Then from there, I came to Delhi. Along with I didn't come early. I came back along with rest everyone. At Delhi, I got admitted into Army Hospital of Research and Referral (R&R). From there, they transferred me to Air Force Hospital Hindon. I got 75 sittings of hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
75 sittings.
75 sittings. But it didn't have much effect. I started.
What they put your leg in an oxygen chamber?
No, the entire you
body.
Go inside a chamber.
There is the technique to warm your toes.
About 5-6 people go together. There is a barrel kind of thing. Thereafter, the pressure is increased. The pressure is increased almost up to 2 atmospheric pressure. Right now we are at 1 atmosphere. The pressure is almost doubled. And you breathe 100% oxygen. So more oxygenation happens.
Because of that, your blood circulation will be better.
But will be better. So even if some amount of tissues are a little alive, they will get more oxygen, and there is a chance for improvement. But I didn't have much effect. Maybe it is already too late. So finally, on 15th August 2011, 3 of my toes were amputated at that hospital. It took a lot of time to recover, for the amputation wounds to heal. I was medically down from flying, so I was posted to NCC for almost 1 year, within which my medical category, I got back to flying category. So they conducted all the tests like jumping from the aircraft, escaping and all that thing, whether I was able to move all the controls of the aircraft correctly or not. So they didn't find any problem, so they upgraded me. So I got upgraded to flying again. So again I got back to flying in 2013. I got back to flying. So I got posted to Air Force Station Bareilly and started flying again. Again I continued flying Sukhoi 30. Then 2011 to 2014 I did not climb anything, because
you are busy just recovering.
Recovery, correct. So 2015 I was actually very worried whether I'll be able to go to the mountains and whether I'll be able to climb anymore. So 2014 was a very big moral booster for me. We climbed one peak in Arunachal Pradesh. It was a virgin peak. It is a peak. The height is 5,900 meter. It is exactly in front of Gorichen.
In line with Gorichen or opposite?
Opposite. Exactly
is on the border.
Correct. It is exactly opposite to Gorichen.
Painano is not on the border. Just this side.
It is also on the border. Maybe it is very. You cannot say. Maybe it is slightly inside, slightly that side. It's something like that.
I'll show you a picture so you can.
I can correlate probably. Yes. So that is a virgin peak, and we climbed it with the help of NIMAS. 2 instructors from NIMAS were with us. They had done some Reiki in that area earlier. So with them we climbed that peak. And I was the only officer who climbed. I was again leading this expedition. And for me it was very important to get back to the mountains and to test whether I am still able to climb. And there are few patches where we had to do 4-pointing. And I was very happy when I could still, though it was not very efficient, but somehow I could manage those patches also. And it kind of reclaimed my confidence that I can still go back to the mountains.
So also through Air Force?
Through Air Force, yes. And in between I had also climbed, I had forgotten, in 2008 I had climbed Mount Chongkumdan 2. CK2.
That was Austrians?
With a French team. There was one person named Paulo Grobel. Paulo Grobel. I climbed with him. Though I was the liaison officer, but I was very much interested, so they took me along with them. I went all the way till summit camp, but after that the food was over. So rest except 3 people, everyone had to come back because there was no food for so many people. So, but still that experience was very good. That was again a virgin peak. And
the peak from the other side. So what was your route followed by Scanpoche and?
I don't recollect the
Scanpoche onto that call into top and then continue on the ridge.
I think so, because I don't recollect exact.
Because I have read an article.
Okay.
I know Polo Global and they have gone up by that ridge. And how
now, yes, when they had to cross one ridge. Just before summit, there was a ridge. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
What you are saying is
the
correct.
final summit pinnacle
Correct.
also they climb?
Correct. Yes, they climb.
Yeah.
They climb the pinnacle.
Pictures also.
And that ridge was absolutely jagged. I have seen the photograph because it was beyond the summit camp, but it was completely jagged kind of ridge, up down, up and down, up and down, jagged kind of ridge.
Very long ridge.
Very long ridge, absolutely correct. Very gradual climb, and in many places the photograph looks like absolute. You are hardly climbing; it is just traversing kind of ridge. And thereafter, the summit pinnacle is there. Correct.
Now that's a very important expedition. I wish you had gone to the top.
I also wish the same. 7,005 or 7,004 meter.
Yes.
Chongkundam 2. That was one of the very fine, very interesting climb that I had done in 2009. That expedition was there.
Then liaison officer they took you along with
Then 2014 I climbed this unnamed peak, and we named it Mount Garud Parvat. Garud Parvat. Gorichen, in front of Gorichen.
Okay.
Because there are 6 people from Air Force has got a special forces. They are called Garuds. So there are 6 Garud people with us in that climb. So we named it Garud Parvat. And 2015 again I did one alpine style climb to Mount Papsura in Himachal Pradesh. That was again a very interesting climb. By the time
what route you followed for Papsura?
Papsura, Tosnala, correct. Tosnala. And we go and we cross that animal pass. Animal pass, and thereafter you follow the ridge, and it is a summit pyramid. Before you reach the summit pyramid, there is a very huge Bergschund just before the summit pyramid starts. By the time we reached summit camp, only 2 of us were left. Only 2 of us could make it to the summit camp. Rest everyone had got some kind of injury, and crossing that animal pass, or I think animal pass or some other pass was the name.
Pass was on the other side.
No, that was some other pass. I don't recollect its name. Animal pass, correct. It was not animal pass. Saraunga Pass, correct. It was Saraunga Pass. Absolutely correct. There's a lot of rock fall in that Saraunga Pass. So 2 people, they got hit by the rock. And by the time we reached the summit camp, only 2 of us could reach. So both of us continued to climb in that classic belay and anchor style. I used to climb, the other guy used to give me belay. After I climbed, I used to fix the ice piton, and I used to give belay, and the other guy used to climb. So we climbed in this way. We climbed this peak, and while coming down, we had so much of load with us. Only 2 of us were there, and entire load was there for us. So we improvised. We tied everything in one tarpaulin, and we tied it with a carabiner and made a V kind of thing, and we dragged everything down all the way till the bottom of Saraunga Pass, all the way down. From there, next day we did road ferry and got everything back. We didn't leave anything. Between 2 of us, that was a very interesting climb that we did.
Tough job.
Very interesting climb. Yes. I decided I will not leave anything. We'll get back whatever we had taken there. Not even garbage, nothing. We just got everything back. That was in 2015. 2015. Then 2017, I went for another expedition to Mount Dholagiri. Again, it was a very interesting climb. Through Air Force again. Through Air Force. Yes.
15 you took a break.
2016.
15 you did not go anywhere.
16 I didn't go anywhere. 2015 I had climbed this one.
16 you did not go.
16 I didn't
17 you were at Dholagiri. Dholagiri is which peak? Peak 1?
Dholagiri peak 1, correct.
Okay.
So again, it was a interesting climb in the sense it was not as easy as I had thought it would be. The climb was steep, and there was huge long patches of glazed ice. Long patches of glazed ice where it was very, very tiring to climb. You have to literally, even if with a fixed rope also, then that you have to kick in and with the crampons and climb. In this expedition also we had some incidents wherein again the group was divided into 2 climbing teams. The team 1 was the 3 people were there, and next team where 5 of us were there. So team 1, which was going ahead, when we reached summit camp, that is the time they are leaving for summit attempt, and we are supposed to leave next day. When they come back, we are supposed to go up. That is what the plan was. But next day they didn't come back. They just didn't come back. By the time it was time for us to leave, they had not come back till next day evening. So more than 24 hours they had not come back. So when it became night and there was still no news from them on walkie-talkie or anything, then first I sent one of the Sherpas to go ahead and check them out, what was happening. Once, for about 1 or 2 hours, I was in contact with him, but after that I was not getting any from the Sherpa also. 2 Sherpas went, still there was no news. So next day morning 10 o'clock, I could not keep myself at the camp anymore. I said I have to go and check myself. But rest of the members, they were saying that they are too tired to go ahead, because whenever you find in the mountains that when that summit, people when they realize that summit attempt maybe it's not an option anymore, because now it's not a climb, now it's a rescue operation. So immediately they start giving up.
Is it so? Normally people get more.
No. Because what happens?
Let's go and rescue.
No, at that altitude, most of the time, what I have seen, that is the normal, maybe human psyche. Yes, maybe that is the human psyche. That
everybody more gets together and must get our friends out.
That is something more like, why should I tire myself because I am not going to get the summit attempt anymore. Whatever. So finally, when I was getting ready and leaving, I was carrying additional oxygen cylinder, some water and Dexa and all the thing. One more person, he volunteered to come with me. So both of us, we climbed some distance. Thereafter he also gave up. He said my oxygen system is not working, so he turned back. So I was climbing by myself. I was climbing myself. I went up to about 8,100 meter. Dholagiri, I could see the summit. It was at 8,300 meter. So I climbed up to 8,100 meter. At that altitude, I could see 3 of those climbers. They're sitting at one place and they're absolutely frozen. They're just sitting without any...
But they died or they were...
No, they're alive, but...
So what they were doing for 3 days in the mountain then?
I'll come to that.
Okay.
When I first gave them some oxygen, make them breathe oxygen, give them water, and I make them eat one handful of Dexa each. Thereafter they came to their senses, and one of them, he had got frostbite on both his hands, complete frostbite. He could not even move his fingers, so both his hands were completely useless. Rest both of them, they were little bit okay, and they could come back on their own. This third person, I had to give him a short sling. I made a short sling, and I had to rappel down, and he was like almost kind of hanging behind me on the fixed rope from my waist. He was just hanging, and he could use his legs, but he couldn't use his hand. So I had to kind of change everywhere and rappel down, and he was hanging behind me, and we could reach summit camp. His hands completely frozen, and that fluid had started oozing out of his fingers. So we could not, it was his last layer was sticking to the skin, we could not take it out. So along with the gloves, we had to put his hand in warm water, and the same way I had to get that guy down till camp 2 and further down from where a helicopter rescue could be effected. Later on, the story came out that what happened is that when they are climbing up, their turnaround time was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the turnaround time which I had given them, but they were nowhere close to the summit by that time, so they decided to press on. And at 6 o'clock in the evening, there is the summit. They had left at evening 6 o'clock, day 1, and next day they reached summit at 6 o'clock in the evening, almost 24 hours after leaving summit camp. So it goes without saying that by the time they came back, they were extremely tired, oxygen was exhausted, and they were completely in a state of hypoxia, wherein they were completely out of their mind. In that kind of stupor or in that hypoxic stage, one of these Sherpas, he slipped and he died. He died. So this Sherpa which I had sent to look for these people, he had crossed them and he was searching for that Sherpa who had slipped. So they were found left on their own. So that particular day, a lot of people had similar kind of thing, because many of the people, they could not reach the summit in time. And other expeditions also. There is some Bengali expedition, and a lot of people, they had suffered similarly, in similar manner. Later on it came out that they are completely delirious, and they are thinking that they are sitting in the base camp tent. That's why they are sitting there like frozen zombies. So that is what, and that later on, that guy who had got frostbite, all his fingers had to be amputated, except 1 or 2 finger on his right hand, some of his toes also, and all the fingers had to be amputated later. So that is how this expedition ended, this Dhaulagiri expedition. Next, by the time I came back from Dhaulagiri, when I reached Nepal and switched on my phone, and I got WhatsApp messages, and some people had sent me messages that I have already been posted to HMI.
The posting now was through Air Force?
Air Force.
Okay. Not West Bengal government or IMF?
I don't know exactly how it works. Probably it goes through all this channel. It goes through West Bengal government and it goes through MOD. So all that thing had already been done.
But you had applied for it, or how did they select you?
I had applied for it long back, about 2 years before I went for, in I think 2015, there was a signal in Air Force that anyone who wants to, these are the criteria, anyone who fulfills the criteria, if you wish, you can apply for this post.
Principal of HMI?
Vice Principal of HMIs. So I had just applied and I had completely forgotten about it, because 2 years had passed and nobody had contacted me, or I also had not contacted anyone, and had it has just completely crossed my mind. So by the time I came back, all the procedure was probably done in between, and I was already posted to HMI. And the day I reached back Delhi, that is the day I was supposed to report at HMI. So I rushed to air headquarters and I told them that this is what is happening, and I have just reached. So they postponed my date of joining by 2 weeks, so I could come quickly. Pack my things and go to HMI. So 2017 June I reached HMI.
Yeah. So when you reached HMI, what was the condition? Because HMI itself had problems. No? So that time HMI was peaceful, or still all the problems going on? Gorkhaland and
yes.
Strikes and everything?
Yeah. What happened is that when I reached HMI, that time it was the strike had just started. That is the time I reached HMI, and for last 3-4 years, there was 2 years or so, there was no vice principal or principal posted to HMI. And I had thought that after reaching, I'll just observe the first course, what is happening, and probably if I feel something is not being done correctly, then I will try to improve. But for me, rather than observing, I had to conduct the first course, because it was during the agitation. First course was coming up during the agitation itself. That was a big task. To conduct the course itself was a big task. So I gave myself time till 15th of August. I decided if by 15th of August this agitation doesn't lift, then I have to start thinking of the alternatives. The easiest option that time was to cancel the course, because all the things are closed, there's no ration, nothing, and even the telecommunication was not there.
But student had already come?
No. The course was going to start in September.
Oh, okay.
So I decided that if I cancel the course, it was very easy. I just have to write one letter to MOD that this is the reason, so you have to cancel the course. But I realized that people have made plans years before that course. Somebody takes leave for months together to come and attend the course. So it will be very painful, very heartbreaking for most of the people. So we decided that somehow we have to conduct the course. So towards that, I sent my training clerk to Siliguri to start sending emails to students, because internet was not working in Darjeeling. It had been snapped by the government. So he started sending email. We started asking for people's sizes, shoe size, jacket size, and all the size. After that, I made the changes in the form. Now the form has got this thing embedded already there, shoe size. After that, I changed it, because if something happens next time again, we have all the information already in my hand. So I changed that later on. So he got all the sizes and everything, and I decided that rather than coming to Darjeeling, we'll directly take people to Exum. So I sent 2-3 teams to scout different places where we can conduct these courses, the first week of the course, because they cannot come to Darjeeling. So, and I had no clue about, I had never gone to HMI before that. I had never climbed in that area before. I didn't even know the name of the places. Yoksum and all the team, I didn't know the name of the places. So the team, they went around and they scouted for the places. I myself went to Yoksum 2-3 times to see how much time it takes and what are the facilities there.
Gorkhaland was not ready to allow just your student to come and go for training. They were reluctant.
It would have been a very difficult task for us, because to do that we have to get so much of ration for everyone. We have to have a safe passage for so many students. Not only that, to conduct the course, we cannot take everyone into confidence. Now, they work in small pockets, these demonstrators, all the people who are enforcing that ban. If one particular group throws a stone in somebody's head, it hits somebody, then it will be a big issue for all of us.
Correct.
So rather than getting into all that thing, law and order issue, we decided to skirt Darjeeling altogether.
Yes.
So finally we homed down to Yoksum only, and we found one rock also at Yoksum where we could do our rock climbing. And we found one disused tourism department building which they were preparing, which they had built up to make a tourist hub kind of thing, but that was not complete, and it was even many of the room's roof was not there. So we took it from them, we cleaned it up nicely, put our electric bulb and everything, put dark water. We worked very hard towards that hut.
This is part 2 of our interview with Wing Commander Panda, and we have finished all his climbs and family, and now he's been going to HMIS principal, so we get his experience as trainer and what difference of training in India. So Panda sahab boliye, we now you have HMI mein when did you reach, and what was your first thing you said was that conducting the course during difficulties, is it?
Finally what I was telling that we took everyone, we gave them 1 point to report, that is a railway station, NJP railway station. From there we organized, we took everyone from there and we did all the paperwork and everything at we took everyone to a stadium. We had hired a stadium there and we kept them
at a stadium at New
at New Jalpaiguri. At Siliguri there is a stadium and we kept everyone there for one night. And we did all the paperwork that people are supposed to do after reaching, and thereafter we directly took them from there to Yoksum. We had already taken the sizes, so we loaded our trucks at HMI with all the sizes, with all the equipment, with the proper sizes of the students, and we issued these equipments at Yoksum directly to the students. Yes, everything we took there, ration, blackboard, whatever is required for the training. We conducted all the classes at Yoksum. And we did the rock climbing also at Yoksum. We found a nice rock, and the course, it was exceptionally smooth. And the local people, they helped us a lot. They are very happy that HMI is conducting the course there. They are also very happy. And yes. And but luckily by the time the students came back, the strike had already over. It was continued for 4 months. That strike continued for 4 months. But by the time they came back after the course was towards the end of the strike period. By the time they came back, the strike was over. At least they could pass out from the institute.
Oh, that's good.
So that was a very good experience. The first time I just went and it was like on me, जैसे कहते हैं ना सर मुंडाते ओले पड़े. So it was that situation for me. But
you know that कहवत सर मुंडाते ही ओले पड़े. And the day you shave your head, बर्फ falls.
उसी दिन ओले गिरते हैं ना ऊपर से, उसी दिन गिरे.
It hurts you more.
हाँ, तो उसे ऐसे ही हुआ मेरे साथ. But it was very nice. It was very satisfying when we could conduct that course.
Because to have so much thing organized, but otherwise you've taken the sarkari attitude कि
cancel करो. हाँ, तो but it was challenging, but at the same time बहुत मजा आया हम लोगों को, सबको, स्टूडेंट्स ने सबने कोऑपरेट किया तो बहुत अच्छे से हो गया. Then next course onwards, that course I didn't go with the course to the base camp because there are so many things to be tied up sitting at Darjeeling. So I had to tie up all the things. Next course onwards, I started going with the courses very regularly. Almost with all the courses I went up. And at ground level, I saw what are the problems people are facing. For example, I realized that people are not even given tea and biscuit and water when they reach Tiger Hill during the trek. And this instructor just told me कि नहीं, किसी ने बोला नहीं देने के लिए. Then it was like कि one person has to go there to tell even observe such a small thing also. So immediately I said कि यार छोटा सा चीज़ है, just start giving them tea and water and biscuit. Now you are getting it, you got it last course. So now this is a very normal thing which nobody will realize. There are small things which you keep adding to add the value of that course, which add into everything. Once people reach that tired, they need some refreshment. Similarly, we introduced refreshment while coming back from Shoka also. They never used to give breakfast. They used to give breakfast after reaching Yoksum. Which a person has to walk empty stomach. So then I said, give breakfast there. There's no problem. Why don't you give? Nobody has told us to give. So the small things I kept, whatever I observed, I kept rectifying those things. In the training itself, the way the briefing was being given.
To come there now, exactly when you reached, what was the training and what you found defects in them?
Main problem thing I found that.
If you know the history of HMI, when they wanted to form the HMI, selected about 10 Sherpas and they were sent to Switzerland for training. Now out of that only one Sherpa Bangdi passed, rest all failed. Technically they knew nothing. So then when they came back, they had to sort of train again everything, and they started. So what did you find among the training which was lacking, and what you think you should improve?
The main thing I found lacking was the people's attitude to work. Attitude to work. Everyone, the instructors, other the office staff.
Technically they were qualified.
They were okay. Technically they were okay.
All the knots they knew.
Everything.
All the gadgets they knew.
Yes, all the gadgets they knew. All the knots they knew. They were quite okay. Only thing is that probably nobody had taken too much of interest into the training, so they were also had a very lackadaisical attitude to learn anything more or to find something new. So when I saw that training, it was not in a very organized way. For example, if you have to conduct one particular kind of training in the snow tomorrow, then today itself you should give the briefing to the students so that they are mentally prepared for next day. So that was not being done in a very organized way. So I ensured that all the things are done in a very organized way so that people are mentally prepared for that particular thing. During the training itself, the way it was being conducted, it was very haphazard. Who is climbing where, nobody is. हाँ, जैसे कहीं पे
speed less, otherwise get confused on camera.
ओके. तो जहाँ पे जब ट्रेनिंग हो रहा है, जहाँ पे एक साथ अगर 60 लोगों को ट्रेन करना है.
How do you sort of train? When you reach, it was what? I mean, kind of a community training or what?
No, training चल रहा था. It was not just that कि it has to be organized in a very logical way. जैसे अभी आपको पहले ब्रीफिंग करेंगे, उसको पहले फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपको कल रॉक पे लेके जा रहे हैं, तो आज उनका प्रिंसिपल ऑफ रॉक क्लाइंबिंग का क्लास अभी होता है. पहले ऐसा नहीं करते थे, वैसे सीधा ले जाते थे रॉक पे और वहीं पे कुछ बता दिया और स्टार्ट क्लाइंबिंग. अभी क्या कर ऐसे ओके. नाउ व्हाट आई टोल्ड देम कि यू स्टार्ट गिविंग द ब्रीफिंग 1 day prior. So if you have to go do rock climbing tomorrow, then today will be the class for the principles of rock climbing, different kind of hold, this, that, everything, and there is nothing on PowerPoint. No lecture was on PowerPoint. I just gave them 1 month time that I want all the lectures on PowerPoint. Each and every lecture is now on PowerPoint. I personally I had to burn midnight oil myself to sit and go through all the slides, to rectify the slides, to check that it is what it is supposed to be. So all these things I checked. In the training methodology itself, like there are few things I found that the instructors were not teaching the correct way of doing. For example, when you are giving the belay, how you are supposed to put your hand, many of them are doing in a wrong way or incorrect way, which is for fraction of a second there is a point where you are not holding any rope with even one of the hand. They used to have a gap in between, even that is for a few seconds, but that is not how it is supposed to be done. So those things I minutely observed, each and every aspect of it, and from my own experience of climbing, what used to happen is that whenever I used to climb, there are few things I always used to think as a mountaineer, like why they don't teach these things in the Mountaineering Institute. For example, different kind of stove. What are the kind of stove you are supposed to use when you go to the mountains? I learned it in a hard way. When I started climbing, I burned my own lowers so many times just to learn how to exactly use a stove. So why don't you teach these basic things in the Mountaineering Institutes? That was always going in my mind when I used to climb.
You were not teaching everybody how to light a stove?
Now it is being done.
You had it?
Now it is there. Now those so many things I introduced, so many topics that was not being taught anywhere in none of the institute. So I gave this task to the instructors that you form this, you formalize this, you make these slides, you prepare these things. If you don't know, ask me or others. You read books, read internet, from wherever you prepare the slides, and I will check, and thereafter we will finalize it and you start teaching. So now that is introduced. What are the different kind of mountaineering clothing, for example? What are the clothing you are supposed to wear? What are the advantages and disadvantages? That is not there. Different kind of tents, mountaineering tents. Lot more emphasis on first aid and what are you supposed to do in the mountains. So
but this was all taught for advanced course. Now
no,
they started for
many
basic also?
No, yes.
पहले एडवांस में था?
No, it was not there at all.
No.
बिल्कुल नहीं था, ये सब टॉपिक था ही नहीं. Garbage management, it was not there at all. So I got it introduced that about different kind of garbage, how all the principle of garbage management, how you are supposed to plan so that your garbage is less, that 3 R's and all that thing with audio visual presentation. So all these things was introduced. Now I try to introduce different kind of flora and fauna that you are supposed to that you are likely to see when you go into the mountains, in coordination with the zoo authorities, because HMI is inside a zoo. We got a lot of support from them also. A few of the courses, it's not possible to for all courses, so few of the courses that was introduced, that so they used to go to the zoo, and there was one session wherein they used to tell what are the kind of flora and fauna and what are the do's and don'ts you are supposed to follow when you go inside a national park. You are walking for 4 days, you are walking inside Kanchenjunga National Park, where you are likely to see many wildlife, and what are you supposed to do with the wildlife. So those do's and don'ts, so all these things were introduced. In advanced course also, expedition planning was given a lot of emphasis. There was only one small class and people used to write it on a paper and give it. So I told ki everyone will give presentation. So now when they give a presentation, then everyone learns from somebody else's mistake. You don't have to make the mistake yourself to learn. So if somebody else has also made some mistake in the planning itself, everyone, the whole course learns from it. So many things were introduced. Night navigation was not being done, so that was also introduced in advanced course. So they do one march at night, so that they also get a feel of actual climb, because in actual mountaineering there are many times when, especially for summit attempts and all, you have to start at night. So that was introduced. And in the climb itself, in the technical climb, lot of things were introduced which are very subtle things, but which make a significant difference in how you climb. The safety aspects, that was given a lot of importance, so that that was not very, the instructors were not very safety conscious. Many of them are not wearing helmets and all that thing. So those things I ensured that those things are done. So it was very interesting journey also, and it was a lot of hard work.
Changing was not a problem with bureaucracy or?
No, that freedom is there. That is one very good part about HMI, is that it's an autonomous body. So that gives a lot of freedom to do.
Yeah, but you don't have to Delhi or MOD or?
No, most of the things there's no need.
As long as you are in your budget.
Correct. So these are procedural changes. They don't cost anything. Like to prepare PowerPoint slide, it doesn't cost anything. And once people see your attitude, when you are working with them shoulder to shoulder, you are working on ground with them, they also understand that what exactly you need. If you just sit in a chair and keep ordering people, then things will not work. But when they see that you are also going along with them, you are working with them, then they also understand that what is your intention. And once they understand that, they also start working in a similar manner.
So on ground now, what was the technique with that time, like step cutting or rappelling on snow, ice? What were the things then, and what changes were made?
Step cutting and all that thing, they have become very old. That is not, we are not even teaching them anymore. We are not even teaching.
Not only by step cutting.
No, now that is long back. Even 1950s itself, crampons had been introduced by the Swiss climbers.
Crampons, yes, but then certain gentle slope. You go up, you don't have to wear a crampon.
Like Lamberts and all, they had started using crampons itself. But so now step cutting is completely out. Nobody is using them, and we are also not teaching them. It wastes a lot of energy also, so we are not doing it. And now whatever new equipment is coming, any new equipment, people keep searching on the net, and they keep from wherever they get the information. We are trying to introduce all the modern kind of equipment like Gree 2 and all the things which are coming in the market, whatever is available. We are first learning itself, we are practicing it ourselves, and then we are teaching the students also about the use of different kind of equipment.
Okay, and then at the base camps, what are now new things some introduced in the glacier work?
Glacier work, yes, those things are already those things were already there.
How about the new kind of curved ice axes and all, they've been used?
Yes, they are being used for advanced course, not for basic course. Okay. But those kind of ice axes is being introduced, and the advanced course, they are given those kind of ice axes to climb.
And you updated, it's now new types of ropes or
new
knots and carabiners and everything.
Yes. Whatever equipment, in fact, last year itself we bought equipment worth 65 lakhs. All brand new, absolutely modern equipment, whatever is available in the international market, whatever the other everyone else is using, we have got the same equipment, and we are teaching the students about the use of all those equipment.
And you had any support from any foreign instructors or not?
No, as of now we have not got into that level wherein we have any exchange program or anything with any foreign institute or something. But nowadays most of the techniques and anything you want to learn, it is available online also, and we get to know if something new is being introduced. We generally get to know, And mountaineering is such a thing where the basics we teach, and at the same time we always encourage our students to keep experimenting. Like if particular thing can be done in so many different ways. For example, a particular knot itself, the knot itself can be put in so many different ways. So we always encourage them to find out something on their own, remaining within the safety limits. So we keep doing that, and the instructors also, they also keep coming up with new things. If while trying out, they also come up with a few things which we find that it is a better way of, or safer way, or easier way of doing a particular thing, then we immediately introduce that, and we teach the students the same thing. So towards that, I organized one expedition to Kangyatse 1 and 2 last year, 2018, wherein all our instructors, I was leading that expedition. We went to Ladakh and we climbed Kangyatse 1 and 2. It was a pure, completely in-house thing where we did not take any help from any agency except the logistics thing, like hiring of horses and all that thing, and transport. We did everything on our own. We climbed, we fixed our rope, we did everything on our own, and we did something very new, that we traversed between those two peaks, 1 and 2, which has not been successful till we did it. So that also we did for the first time, that traverse from Kangyatse 2 to Kangyatse 1. And all the lessons we learned from that particular expedition, we use it as a case study to teach our advanced course. That this is how we had planned, and this is exactly how we have planned, and this is how it came out. So these are the mistakes we made during the planning stage. So when you plan an expedition, these are the mistakes you are likely to make. So that this we use as a case study and we teach them.
Advanced course is very successful. I mean, by teaching, you think you are making them an top class mountaineer?
Yes, absolutely. See,
the
problem what we generally face is that the quality of the people who come to undertake the courses. Many of the people, surprisingly, many of them, they are not even, especially basic course, many of them are not even aware of exactly what is expected out of them, or what they are likely to face when they come for the course.
You knew about it, what you are going for?
Yes.
But many of the people, they are not even aware, so they find it difficult to undertake the course. At the same time, we don't have any methodology wherein when they apply, we can make out whether somebody seriously wants to learn, or they just want to spend some time. And
but advanced course, somebody would A grade in basic.
Correct. Advanced course also, what happens is that many of the people who come for the advanced course, they would have done their basic course long back, maybe 5-6 years back. Many of them are there like that, maybe 10 years back, and in between they wouldn't have done anything else. So it is very likely that they would have forgotten everything that was taught to them in basic course. So even if they got A grade and all that thing, still we find that many of them physically unfit, many of them lacking in the skills that are required to take them to a higher stage. At the same time, in advanced course, that is why we try our best to keep the core strength to bare minimum, to the minimum what is there.
How many?
Advanced course, the number of seats are 40.
40, yeah, that's
yes.
quite a bit.
But generally, earlier it used to go to 60, 70. Now I have restricted it to 40 only, so that the quality doesn't degrade, and we can give sufficient practice to everyone, because we want people to do things on their own. If everyone keeps doing that jumaring just by taking help from Sherpas, then it just ends there. The skill doesn't improve further.
Intellectually sort of excited. I mean, how to plan an expedition, what is the history of this area, what are the famous Sherpas from HMI, all sort of those things are excited into.
Yes, we do have classes about the history, about the Himalayas, about the Himalayan ranges, about the history. We do take a few classes, but in that limited period of 28 days, our main focus is to teach them the technical aspects.
Physical technique, yes, but it's mental techniques ka kya?
Mental techniques, like we teach them how to plan expeditions, step by step, each and every step, how to take care of it, how to plan, how to budget, how to decide on the equipment, how to plan ration, everything, how to plan your insurance, rescue, everything we teach them during. That's what I told. When I went there, I found that only one class was being taken, wherein they are just given in a nutshell, they are being told ki mota just do this. But now 4 classes are being taken just for expedition planning in detail, how to plan route, how to plan ration, how to plan equipment, everything is being taught to them in a very step by step manner now. And I sit through these classes, and I ensure that they are being taken in the way they are supposed to be done.
And all this, I mean, how are the Sherpas or the instructors have taken this?
Initially, they are very.
Was there resistance to learn more?
No, there was never resistance, because when they found that I myself, there are so many things I had to teach them myself. Like for example, map reading. Map reading class was never been conducted in HMI. So first I had to teach map reading to the instructors themselves. So now we have started at map reading classes. So they are also willing to learn, and they are quite nice. There's not much resistance in as far as the learning process was concerned, because they understood that I'm also learning with them. I'm also very much spending same amount of time. In fact, I had to spend more amount of time, because I have to do the office work also. After that, I have to look after this aspect also. So once they realized that I mean serious business, and I am not just doing, I don't have any ulterior motive behind all these things, then they cooperated wholeheartedly without any problem.
They learned also quite well.
Yes, they're very willing to learn, and they themselves I'm very happy that they themselves have taken the thing. When they are, even if I don't supervise or do things, they are doing things on their own. So it has gone to that level, so it's quite satisfying.
And what about history of HMI? Have you maintained anything? Old historical records, or old Sherpas, their photographs, pictures?
We do have the entire archival thing in our museum, like old.
Museum is not. I mean, in the library you have. The museum is for display.
No, we have in the library also, and in our record room we have all the records. Like
what is the record room you have?
Record room means usme we have the record of all the students of HMI, when they did the course and when they pass out. All this data is there, all the statistical information is there, about all the instructors is there, all the climbs that HMI has done, that is there. Those kind of records we have.
That's very good. And now what is the pension system for Sherpas or retired instructors?
We follow.
That was a very major problem to initially with, I mean, famous guys like Gyalzan or Danamgyal, we saw them selling sweaters on streets.
No,
they got nothing.
No, that is not the problem anymore.
Of service, they were just reduced to streets.
We are following the rule of West Bengal government services. We follow the same rule of West Bengal government services, and as per that they are entitled for pension.
Yeah, but they were class 4 servants originally. So
now they are class 3. Class 3, and depending, like my chief instructor, he's also class 3. But their pay is okay now, and with the 7th pay commission that will further improve. So they get a good amount of, not very very high, but they get a handsome salary, and a pension scheme is also there, which is a West Bengal government regulation. So they get pension as per that.
Compared to all the 3 institutes in India, where do you think HMI stands? NIM is better than training wise?
No.
Manali,
I have not seen myself. In NIM, I have done the course myself, and very recently also had gone there. I introduced one search and rescue course in HMI, which was not being done earlier. So before that course was started, March, I myself went to NIM to do the course myself, to see it from a point of view of a student, to see what are the training methodology and how we can further improve on that, to plug all the loopholes that I found there. So I realized that HMI training as of now is better than NIM. I am not aware of exact pattern of training, but speaking to the instructors and all that thing, and the students who have done the course from Manali, I feel HMI training equipment wise, every wise, it is much better than other institutes.
Much better or equal to all?
It is better than other institutes. I saw the equipment myself there. Our thing are better than them.
So now what remains? What do you see as the future of HMI or the training in India as such? Because India is not still producing great alpine style climbers. We are having a sea style climber. We go up a snow slope everywhere. But we don't have any good alpine style climbers. You can just 2 of them, they go on a climb up peak and come back. So when do you think that could happen as a training wise?
Training wise, we teach everyone to become an alpine climber, because the methods that we teach, it remains same whether you are climbing alpine style or siege technique.
But the mental approach would be different.
Mental approach is different in the sense that that's what we teach everything. We teach how to rescue somebody if he falls into a crevasse, how to climb on a absolute vertical slope, on a overhang, how to give belay, how to tie, how to put a anchor, how to make an anchor base. We teach each and every aspect which is used in an actual alpine style climb. For example, like the particular peak I told you, Mount Papsura, only 2 of us reached the summit camp, and we are climbing exactly in that technique. So the techniques are known to everyone because that is exactly what we are teaching.
Yeah, does HMI encourage, but mental is telling them, right, this is the way to climb?
That is what.
Or you encourage them to wait for IMF to offer them.
No. That is what that is what is expedition planning is all about. We encourage them to plan their own expedition, and earlier what they used to happen at HMI, there's just 2-3 peaks they used to plan, that Kabru Dome, Kabru North, Kabru South. I now have changed it. I have said ki we give them randomly, we give them some peak in Uttarakhand, also in Himachal, any peak, with the aim that if they it is quite possible that if they make a plan of a peak which is climbable, like most of these peaks in Sikkim was closed till recently. Now they have opened it. Like 2-3 days back, I got that news that now they've opened the peak in Sikkim also. They've Sikkim North, the Kabru Dome, Kabru North, Kabru South, all the things they've opened. Just now, I have sent it by WhatsApp also. That news cutting, I have sent it to you. So now they've opened, but otherwise all the peaks in Sikkim were closed. They're all holy peaks. But if you keep giving those same peaks for expedition planning, they'll never climb those peaks. So now we give peaks which are open. So it's quite possible that if they plan that particular expedition, it is quite possible that they might decide that as a rope, afterwards we will try this peak itself. It's quite possible, and we do encourage them that you are planning this in future, just keep it ready. Now your planning is ready, just go and you can think of climbing the same peak. And we do encourage to do it on their own without taking any technical help from others. That is, when I interact with the students also, I keep telling them the same thing, that don't be afraid of failure on the mountains, because reaching the summit is not the overall, don't make it such a fixated aim that you have to reach the summit. It is the style in which you climb and the joy or enjoyment you gain from that is more important than summit is a bonus. If you can reach the summit, nothing like it, but climbing itself.
Do you think people appreciate that or not?
See, you can only do so much. Beyond some point, it is our own mentality. It is only recently that it is very recent phenomena that people are thronging to adventure sports. Otherwise, earlier there are very few people who are like you, and very few people are there who are venturing so much deep into the mountains. But now that new breed is coming up, people in India have started doing frozen waterfall climb also. There are 2 people who have made a nice film also on that. So people have started doing this kind of things. It's not now, availability of equipment also is improved. Earlier, though good quality equipment was not there, people didn't have so much of disposable income to get into this kind of adventure sports.
It is very slow. There is no way training institutes like yours expedite this change. Suddenly you will have 50 people going climbing.
See, our mandate is such that we are very much restricted in the sense we are so busy just conducting courses that we don't have so much of manpower or so much of time to conduct something like this. But if you see, now IMF in between, they are conducting one alpine training camp, wherein they used to take people and make them climb some alpine, some peaks in alpine style. But for us as an institute, we don't have that kind of time in our hand to conduct such things. The courses itself, we are so overburdened with conducting basic, advanced, MOI, and now search and rescue, all these courses, that our hands are completely full to do anything more than what we are already doing. And the time that we get is very limited in the complete year. Pre-monsoon and post-monsoon, very limited period is available to conduct the training, and the area in the glacier is also very limited, and that is further, the glacier is further shrinking and further reducing in size. So we don't have more places also to conduct training in that area. So it becomes very much restricted. As far as the institutes are concerned, it becomes very restricted to conduct a special camp or special workshop kind of thing just to teach people alpine or encourage them to climb alpine style, because the techniques that we are teaching, their same techniques are being used in alpine style climb also. So they can always use the techniques to climb alpine style, and we can only encourage them to do this kind of thing further. But as far as taking them to actual climb it, it is very difficult for us as an institute.
Mentally also, nobody is still very keen on alpine style.
Because in India, most of us, we climb, there are so many reasons why people climb mountains. For Indians, what I have seen, most of the people, they climb for name and fame. So if you go and climb a very small virgin peak which nobody knows, they don't come in news. So that is one of the big factor why people don't want to climb those kind of peaks. With much lesser effort, people can, or with much lesser planning, people can climb bigger peaks like 8,000ers or Mount Everest, that kind of peak. So people are thronging towards, you've seen so many Indians are now going to Everest. They are not climbing smaller peaks at all. They are not climbing virgin peaks, peaks where difficult to approach, or trying to find a new route, because that doesn't bring them eyeballs, or that doesn't bring them too much of publicity. But if they go to climb this kind of peaks, then they get a lot of publicity, and so that is the basic mentality which I don't know what we need to do to.
They'll all take a long time
to change.
Generational change. So anything more now you would like to say about HMI, its training, its future, past, your experiences?
So,
anything more you have?
No, generally I have told what the way we are going about training and all the aspects. I hope the future also they continue trying to improve, because improvement is a continuous process and learning is again a continuous process. There is no end to learning. If anyone who says that he has learned everything that is to learn, then that day itself the learning process will stop. There will be no further improvement. So till the time we accept, yes, we have still more to learn, we have still more to improve. Till the time we don't accept that fact, we will never improve. So once that has been accepted, we work towards it, we will keep that progress, that process will continue forever. We will keep progressing, we will keep learning new things. I hope that the same tempo is maintained in future, so that it just goes on like that.
Okay, thank you, Commander. I hope your dreams about HMI will continue and you will be also climbing more.
Thank you, sir.